Chapel Hill Middle School is one of 7 middle schools operating in Douglas County. I chose to examine Chapel Hill Middle School because it's one of our prominent feeder schools to my high school. I'm Reed Durbin, an educational specialist candidate in the Instructional Technology program at Kennesaw State University. I'm completing this assignment for ITech 7305. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad you could join our data team. You're a great bunch of people, and I know you care about our kids. Today's going to be the last time I talk so much. After this, we'll start having more discussions, and we'll divide the workload. But this is a chance to whet your appetite for the work ahead. It's important work, but we can have fun while we do it. Today, we'll begin a new focus on improving student learning and performance by concentrating on data. I don't have all the answers. We will have to come up with some answers. But I will have to remind you that our job is never finished. By looking at the data, we engage in a mission of discovery. And if we finish one part of the mission, we'll begin a new part. So let's get started. Today, I'm going to introduce you to the data that informs the public about our school. As you know, the public perceives us through our test scores. And while that's a limited view of any school, it's our reality. Luckily, we have no fears on that score. I know we've started with Georgia milestones, but those tests haven't been published. So we're going to be using the CRCT data from 2011 to 2014 to tell our story, and it's a good one. So today our goal is to inform the faculty and our administration about our progress relative to the county and the state. We'll also celebrate and recognize our areas of strength, and there are many to celebrate. We'll identify an area of opportunity with the goal of improving our students' performance. And we'll kick off that plan and begin the process of really examining data as a window into our school's performance. Let's take a look at Georgia's enrollment as an introduction to our school's situation. Georgia had approximately 1.9 million students enrolled in K through 12 in 2013 through 2014. We've seen growth of 37,636 students in 3 years, and we expect that growth to continue. Douglas County Schools has also seen steady increase over the 3-year span, gaining 653 students in that time. Now look at this slide. Don't panic. It's all a matter of scale. We grew from 2011 to 2013 by a whopping 5 students. But we decreased enrollment by 9 students from 2014. So it looks much more dramatic than it really is. Georgia's ethnic picture is instructive. As you can see, our students are somewhat diverse. Black and white students are about equal, statewide, with Hispanics at 13% of our schools, while Asian Pacific Islanders and multiracial students make up the rest. While we have about 4,000 people identified as Native American, they are too small statistically to register on the pie graph. Things start to change when you look at Douglas County. Blacks are in the majority at 51%, while whites are declining in population in our schools to only 30%. Hispanics also make up about 13% of the population in the county, while people who identify as 2 or more races are up quite a bit at 4%. Asian and Pacific Islanders are a little bit smaller at 2% of student enrollment. Now you may know what our composition is at Chapel Hill Middle School. But when you see it on a pie chart, it's pretty startling. What do you notice about the ethnic breakdown of CHMS? Yep, we're a largely black school at 59% of our student population, and another 5% of our students identify as 2 or more races. White students only represent 20% of our enrollment. Hispanic students and Asian Pacific Islanders each representing 7% and 2% respectively. Remember this chart when we examine the CRCT data. Gender at Chapel Hill Middle School is relatively even, with 568 girls and 597 boys. That's a difference of only 29 students. This slide looks at our various subgroup populations. Compared to the state's data, Chapel Hill Middle School has a very small percentage of limited English proficiency ability, and our percentage of students with disability was only 7.6%. That's 3.2% lower than the state's percentage. Our only large subgroup is the percentage of economically disadvantaged students, which, while significant at 44% for 2013-14, is still far lower than the state's 62% for the same time period. Now we get into what will drive our data team, data from the state assessments. We'll use the CRCT data until the state publishes the results of the Georgia Milestones test. Students are doing pretty well statewide. Most students meet proficiency level, with a few trouble spots in science and social studies. In the last year, we have data for reading at the exceeds level almost equals the meets level at 48.5%, with only 3.4% of students in the does not meet proficiency. So, not bad, Georgia. Here's the same data at the district level. Again, most students are meeting proficiency level, although the exceeds level drop a good bit. Unfortunately, the does not meet levels have risen quite a bit in math, science, and social studies. For example, Douglas County has about 24% of does not meet proficiency to the state's 21% levels for 2014. Remember that when we look at our school's CRCT levels. Again, you may know that our students are doing well, but when you see it graphically, I think you'll be very pleased. You should all be very proud. That's right. Chapel Middle School is doing great. Our students are exceeding at a higher level than either of the other two comparative standards. Consider that the English language arts, reading, and social studies are all at about 60% exceeds level. Science and math are also great, with 45% of our students at the exceeds level. When you look at the total picture, about 89 to 99% of our students are passing the CRCT across the board. So even with some challenges, we've continually beat county and state levels. In this slide, you can see that compared to the state, our students are routinely exceeding proficiency levels on every subject for the 3-year cycle. Still, this presents a problem. How do you improve when the school is doing so well in this measurement? This slide looks exclusively at our students who did not meet proficiency levels over the past 3 years for which we have data. You can see that science and social studies are the two areas with the greatest number of does not meet students. So let's dig a bit deeper. When we look at gender, we can see that the ladies are doing about 3% better than our young men on science and social studies for 2013-2014. Overall, the females are doing better than male students in the does not meet category. In this slide, the does not meet category is broken down by ethnicity, and here we begin to see an achievement gap. Note that Hispanic students and Black students are doing significantly worse than other groups. Again, for Hispanic students, social studies is a slightly bigger problem, with 12.8% of this group in the does not meet category, while our Black students represent 14.2% of our does not meet proficiency within science. So what should we do? Well, we need to examine one of these weak spots to try to pull these students up to the meets proficiency level. The school administration has decided to focus on science as our subject area. So we'll concentrate on this area across disciplines and grades. So it isn't a science problem, it's a Chapel Hill Middle School challenge. And we're going to prove the power of teamwork at our school. So, Mark your calendar for our next meeting. We'll have some refreshments while we work. Thanks, Donna, for volunteering. I've sent you a packet of materials to your email addresses. Please review these before the meeting so we can begin the process of examining the science portion of the CRCT. Bring your laptop and your ideas. Thanks for being excellent, and let's help even more of our kids be excellent too.